is a Springfield Echelon, and today I'm going to talk about it from a P320 elitist perspective. But first, I'd like to thank the sponsors of the channel, 1 being Infinite Defense, 2 being Hot Munitions, and 3 being anechoic suppressors. Use my code NANNERS for certain percentages off. Now let's get into the Springfield Echelon. This is I don't know if I would call it a poor man's Glock. The only reason I would call it a poor man's Glock is because of the fact that I think it is cheaper than a Glock, even though it has a lot more upgrades on it. First, I'm going to read off some specs for it just so you guys know that are wondering. The MSRP on this is $740, but I have been searching all over the web and I've seen a lot from $600 to around $650-ish. That includes the threaded barrel or non-threaded barrel. The barrel length on this one, which is threaded, is 4.5 inches, and that thread pitch is the typical 1/2x28 that you see on a lot of other 9mm. It does come with a optics ready slide, as you can see. That is threaded for a lot of different optics. We'll talk about that later. This one specifically comes with a tritium 3-dot. You can get also a sort of U-dot. I know a lot of people don't like that, myself included, so I definitely prefer the 3-dot tritium night sights on here. And it is fully ambi. You can see here, mag release button on this side, one on this side as well as slide release and slide lock on both sides. Let's talk about some of the upgrades I have on here. As you can see, I have a compensator on here. There is a flared mag well, as well as, well, you can't see it here, but the guide rod is stainless steel, which actually all of these have come from Springer Precision. As I mentioned earlier, this slide does come optic cut for 30 plus different optics. So you can put a Armory footprint, Delta Point footprint, whatever other stupid footprints are out there. It screws directly into the slide. You don't need any mounting plate. You don't need anything like that. It's just goes straight in, which is pretty cool. I have ran a acro footprint type of optic on here, and you do need an adapter plate for that because it's not screws down. It actually screws sort of like almost like a Picatinny system where it clamps rather than, you know, screws in. Whatever. I've ran all those optics on here. They all have worked great. This system is actually something I really, really enjoy. I think it's a very good system that Springfield did. Now, the mag well that I have on here, like I said, it is Springer Precision. I really, really enjoy myself some fat, wide mag wells. I'm a big wide magwell boy, what can I say? The compensator, again, from Springer Precision. The guide rod in here is stainless steel, as well as I got a 14-pound spring to go with it. That's sort of a package deal that comes with, well, it doesn't come with, but you need to order it with this compensator because the gun will not function if it doesn't. You need a free, non-captured spring in there, and a lot of people just like to upgrade the guide rod to stainless steel because the one that this does come with is polymer. I don't know if it's good or bad. I haven't seen anything negative about polymer guide rods, but I know a lot of people do like the sound mind of having a stainless steel guide rod, so there you go. As far as upgrades or additions go, that's it. As far as upgrades from a Glock, because I may have mentioned this is essentially an upgraded Glock. I really, really enjoy the upgrades that this comes stock with compared to a Glock, because I was looking at getting something other than a 320. So I was looking at a Glock 47, a Glock 17, and then I came along the Echelon and saw all of the things that it was upgraded from. So it already has some slide work done to it from the factory. It comes with these nice serrations in the front here. I know a lot of people like to press check with the front serrations, as well as sometimes manipulate the gun itself from the serrations. And it also has rear serrations back here. But some things that I really, really like that I didn't think I would are these sort of wings in the front and in the back. It's sort of like flared on the slide itself so that you're able to use those flares to manipulate the weapon. So I mean, you can grab it just from back here. I'm just using 2 fingers and actually rack it back, as well as in the front right here. I mean, you can just use the fact that they're flared. I actually really, really like that as a functionality, or from a functionality standpoint, as well as a visual standpoint. I really enjoy how it looks. Now, a lot of you guys know that the first thing that almost everyone does in a Glock is change the trigger, and they should, because Glock triggers are fucking terrible. This is a much better trigger than a Glock. So you still have the typical little dingus here, as Ben Stoeger calls it. So it is a safety, so I cannot pull the trigger without engaging that. So, I mean, there's no mush or anything. It's just straight back, and then a little mush. There we go. And reset. Let's see. Yeah, it is much nicer than a Glock. I will say it is not near as nice as my 320 trigger, which it shouldn't be, because the 320 trigger that I have is a KGM $300 trigger. So it's not a fair comparison, and it shouldn't be, because again, this is a stock trigger. Now, like I said, it's better than Glock. It is not better than something like a PDP or some of Canik's newer pistols. Those triggers are very good and crisp. This definitely still has striker fire mush to it, but if you're used to a Glock trigger, you're gonna think this is a race trigger, for sure. Another nice little upgrade is the actual module. It is stippled already. It's more like a grip tape situation where it's not super rough or not too fine for my taste. Some of you may think it's way too fine, but I really enjoy this sort of grip tape situation. You have it all along the underside of the grip here. You have it along the frame and along the sides of the frame, especially on this side, and you have little flared bits of the frame that you can use as a ledge for your thumbs. I really like the stipple job that they have going on here. I don't see any reason that I'm going to change it out. Now, I keep comparing it to a Glock because it sort of, I mean, it has that Glock shape, you know, and Glock bore axis, Glock grip angle, all of those, but it's sort of like a Glock and a P320 had a bastard child, and that's what this is. It is something you are able to take the fire control unit out of, which Springfield calls this the COG, Central Operating Group. I'm trying, this is actually really tight. I'm trying to take the actual slide off. Actually, I probably can't, because on YouTube they would probably murder me. So you know what, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not even gonna cut this out. I'm gonna leave it in the video. So there you go. But essentially, you can take the slide off just like a P320, and you can take the trigger group out, which is the serialized part, and now you have just an empty frame that you can switch out for a smaller one, different color, an upgraded one from aftermarket or whatever. I really, really enjoy that. I think a lot of companies should start doing this because it allows for a lot of aftermarket support and different customization for people if you want a smaller frame so you can carry. If you want to switch out the slide and the frame completely and just have the same trigger group and make it to yourself, you can do that without having to get another weapon or send it through an FFL or whatever you have to do with Glocks to get it customized for yourself. It also opens up the ability for companies like Flux to actually make chassis systems for this, so it can be, if you wanted to shoulder mount it like the Flux Raider, you can do that with a 320. I am not sure why they haven't done it for the Echelon yet. I think some people may have already, I'm not sure, but I really think this handgun has a lot of potential for customization and turning into something that you will actually use. Lastly, a few things I like about the pistol. I actually really enjoy the price. 600 bucks for, I mean, obviously without the comp and some of these upgrades on here, but 600 bucks for a threaded barrel, 4.5 inch, comes with 17 round mag and a 20 round mag. I actually went with I think it's like gun up or ready up or something. I can't remember what Springfield calls it, but it's a package deal where it comes with the gun itself, I believe 5 mags total. Yeah, 5 mags total, and a range bag that comes with the gun. That's pretty cool. 600 bucks for all that. You're getting a smoking deal. So I really like the value that comes with this pistol. Let's talk about some things I don't like. I don't like the grip angle. That's obviously a personal preference. I really enjoy a P320/1911 grip angle where it's almost straight up and down and you don't have to cant your wrist like you do with a Glock or this Echelon. That's just something, I mean, I've been shooting P320s for 4 to 5 years now. That's obviously just a me issue and a personal preference issue. It may not be an issue for you. So this probably isn't even a negative for you Glock owners. And that's great. As I said before, the trigger is worse than my P320 trigger, but I'm comparing it to something I've been shooting for so long and it's an upgraded trigger. So again, it's not really a negative. I'm really nitpicking here to figure out what is worse than what I'm used to. So again, not a huge negative. It's just something that I'm not used to. So bad. Now let's talk a little bit about the dot on top. Right now I'm running a Swamp Fox. I believe it is a Justice 2. It is a very large and wide window. As you're seeing, I really like large and wide things. Kind of weird, but here we are. The optic is obviously open emitter. It has 4 different reticles. One is a typical 2 MOA dot. Then you have a sort of 56 MOA quarter ring situation where it's like 1 circle here, then skips, 1 circle here, skip, 1 circle here, 1 circle here, whatever, or half quarter circle. Then you have a very weird crosshair situation going on. It's almost very, I mean, exactly like a Call of Duty situation. You have 1 up top, 1 over here, 1 over here, and 1 over here. And each of them are 10 MOA wide. I don't know what that's for. I really don't. The next is all of those put together. So you have the 2 MOA dot, 56 MOA ring with the crosshairs on the outside. That makes sense. It's a very busy reticle though. So I usually just go with the 2 MOA dot. I don't see the need for any of the others. Some of you may like those others. I personally don't. Let's talk about the recoil impulse here. I can't talk too much about the stock gun because as soon as I got this, I put the comp on it because that's what I wanted to do. But this comp works very well. I think it stays very flat. It is very loud because all comps are, and they are not pleasant to shoot, especially if you're indoors. But if you're outside and you're shooting by yourself, you're going to be just fine, and you're going to find that you don't have to put as much input to keep this gun on target. So yeah, I really enjoy this compensator, and if you are feeling like compensating something, try it out. It's fun. One more thing, I did have to, well, I think I should touch on this. I did have to modify the Safariland holster that you can get for the Springfield Echelon. So I ordered the Echelon holster from Safariland. They do not have one for a threaded barrel. So I ordered the normal one, took the plugs out. As you can see, it's open-ended here. And I put my heat gun to it and started going burr. Now, I have learned from RDR Gear, who does a lot of custom holster work, that this is a bad idea. Because now all of the force of the gun, or all of the weight of the gun, is held on by, or I guess by the locking system on the inside. And there's just a small spring that holds it in place. And eventually, it's not if, it's eventually, when this breaks, I will pull this out and the spring will just jump out and I will lose it forever. So if you are going to modify your holster, know your risks, because this is obviously not going to be a duty. I say duty, this is not going to be a proper fighting gun if my holster is bound to break. So just know that before you go into modifying holsters and putting modified guns into modified holsters, stuff like that. But so far, it's worked well. I really like the Safariland with the OTG nub mod. I really like that on here, so that's what I'm running. Now to wrap this up on what my feelings are for the Springfield Armory Echelon, I actually really like it. From a 320 fanboy who has never shot anything else. I mean, I've shot some stuff just picking it up and everything, but I've never actually owned any other pistol besides a P320. This is actually a very good thing. I like this gun a lot. It is something different, which is good to shoot different things. Obviously get very good at one thing before you start switching around and shooting other things, especially if it is a large jump from the other. So the 320, like I said, I don't have to cant my wrist down or anything like that. It has a different trigger, all that stuff. Switching to this from the 320, I could tell, I was like, oh God, okay, I got to start working on canting a little bit more, putting a little more input into the gun to allow me to stay on target and get on target off of draw. So, but that's just a me issue. That's a practicing, training issue. And I have learned to overcome it. And here we are, something that I really like. I really like the price point. I really like the customization, especially this Viz system. I really, really like this. You can switch to so many optics without having to get a slide milled, pay money for that, or even pay money for a simple adapter plate. You don't have to do that unless you want an acro footprint or something like that. Then you are going to have to get one, but almost all guns have to do that unless you get it specifically milled for that optic. I really like the upgrades that come with this stock compared to what it could be, like a Glock. The slide work, the stipple job, the, like I said, Viz system, the cog system that they have where you're able to take out the grip module and switch it for, or you're able to take out the trigger module and switch anything out without having to get a different serial number or anything like that. This thing is just something I have really been enjoying a lot. The only issues that I've had are pertaining to the compensator, because compensators, they need a little more push in order to effectively work in your gun. And sometimes I'll be shooting hot munitions, which is loaded a little softer than other ammo because it's usually a competition type of ammo. So the lower powder is not allowing the slide to fully come back and eject that round and pick up a new one, so it'll just stovepipe and get stuck right there. That is not a, I wouldn't say it's a gun issue, a Springfield issue. That is a compensator and ammo issue. So that's not something I would worry about. Unless you are going to comp it, then you have to worry about spring weight and, like I said, ammo and how hot it is loaded. That's not a gun issue, that's all those issues. So there we go. As always, I'll see you on the other side.